As is the case with most Adobe applications, Illustrator ships with something that I like to call the Visual Command Center. And in this case, it's something called the Control Panel. This little strip of information that goes all the way across the document window here is the Control Panel. The great thing about the Control Panel is that it is a contextual object. It changes based on certain things that you're doing or certain objects that you have selected on your screen. For instance, right now, there's not a whole lot going on up there. But if I were to select something like this flower, for instance, you would notice that I get controls of the fill, the stroke, controls for the opacity, graphic styles, recoloring, alignment options, transform options. There's many different options that pop up in the Control Panel. Throughout this course, you're going to hear me say, let's go to the Control Panel and change X or Y. And that's the area that I'm referring to. And also what makes this panel completely awesome is the fact that you can click on these little orange links and gain access to full panels from this section without having to go and find them. This is particularly helpful when you're working with text, because by default, the text panels are not over here on the right-hand side. I would have to go into the window menu, scroll all the way down and find type and then select character or character styles or something like that to get these panels open. But instead, all I have to do while I'm here is switch on to the text tool or the type tool with the letter T. Once I do that, I have access to the character panel and the paragraph panel just by clicking these little links right there. On the right-hand side of the Control Panel, there's a drop-down which controls everything that is displayed in the Control Panel. So right now, technically, all of this information is being displayed in the Control Panel. And you look at that and you think, wait, no way all of that stuff is being shown to me in the Control Panel. And you are right. It depends on the size of your monitor, unfortunately. So I'm working on a fairly decent-sized monitor, but not big enough to show all the options. You will also notice that as you resize the Illustrator window, you can see here that the Control Panel area actually changes to show different amounts of information. As I expand it back out, watch the options slowly start to repopulate. So if you want to take the time to go through and determine which one of these are more important to you and make sure they have a check mark beside them, then they will have priority over the ones that don't have check marks when you are actually resizing windows or working on smaller screens. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this and go back into my document here. So again, depending on what you have selected at any given time or the tool you have selected, you might see different options. So for instance, if I switch to the Artboard tool, you see all the options in the Control Panel completely change. If I switch to the Slice tool, they go back to pretty much normal. If I switch to the Zoom tool, they're pretty much normal. It depends on what tool you have selected, and many tools don't have specific options that appear in that panel, but some of them do, like text, for instance, artboards, for instance. So just keep your eye on the Control Panel as it continues to change throughout your workflow, because you never know what's going to pop up there that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Now, if you don't like the Control Panel being at the top, that's okay. You can undock it by clicking right here and dragging it out into the window, and it will become a free-floating panel. You can also drag it down to the bottom and dock it to the bottom, or you can break it back out and have it free float, move it to another monitor, for instance. You can also change this option once it's right here, anytime you want, and you can move it around just like so. Let's go ahead and redock this back towards the top. We'll dock it back in, wait for that blue line to appear, and it will pop right back into place. So keep an eye on that, look out for the changes, and remember where it is because we're going to be using it a lot throughout the course.